The Mavs won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
3 in a row.
You guys excited?
Sure did.
Yeah.
I kind of sense
we need to win a lot more.
I kind of sense a little energy in the room from you guys.
I said they'd go 3-0 and KP would score 31 game.
Oh.
Win 2.
Win one more, and that's called a winning streak.
I just haven't had one since I got a haircut election day. So
We have a buddy that has a shop. Shout out to Randy. Shout out to Dapper.
oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure.
The last time you got a haircut, we were playing in the bubble. I'm Trey.
I'm Robert.
I'm Jacob.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Trey Show and another episode of NBA Talk featuring the Dallas Mavericks, which we're going to think about switching the name to Mavericks Talk because we mainly talk about the Dallas Mavericks on this show. So we're back with Robert and Jacob. And last week when we left, it was a little bit on a downer. The Mavs, I think they had lost they were 1-7 in their last 8 games last week, again, when we did the show. So this show, and you can tell how bright and happy everybody is. The Mavericks are on a 3-game winning streak. You should have heard Robert on the text thread this morning and today. So excited. I mean, emojis, crying, happy emojis, smiling emojis, sunglass emojis.
Rainbows, eggplants.
Rainbows, eggplants. So we were, we're Mavericks fans, so we enjoy when they win. But, for me, when they're losing, maybe there's a little bit more to dig into, a little bit more content. So we'll jump right into it, and we're going to start with just a recap of the last week's action, which is the last 3 games. So Jacob, we'll start with you. And this game was February 6th. The Mavs beat the Warriors 134-132 off of a last-second or very late bucket from the Mavericks, and that was kind of what started this most recent run. So, Jacob, what did you see in that game, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so before we left the last show, the last game we've seen was the loss to the Warriors, where they had no big men, and it didn't seem like they were really taking advantage of that. They were trying to play the Warriors game that the Warriors had to play by shooting just threes nonstop, playing super fast paced. And this game, the Mavs were able to withstand a crazy game by Steph Curry. He had 57, he made 11 threes. It just really went off. And Luka had an insane game too, but Steph Curry really went off. Luka had 42. But I thought this game they still shot a lot of threes, but I thought Porzingis especially was more aggressive and more took advantage of his size, because Luka was bigger than any player Warriors had. So it seems like the Mavs big men should be able to take advantage of that. And a big play down the stretch was Kleba hitting a big 3, which I thought was good, because the Timberwolves game, Josh Richardson hit a really big shot to seal it. And the game before that, Kleba did. And those are 2 of the players that were missing in quarantine. So I think it's really good to get their confidence up. And I think they're playing well. And in this game against the Warriors, all the starters were in double figures. Porzingis had 18 and 10. And Richardson had 17, Kleba had 16, and Finney-Smith had 10. So I thought it was a really good, well-rounded effort with Luka leading the pack. And they were able to withstand a Steph Curry game, insane game.
Yeah, 57. That's ridiculous. So two players in those 2 games, and we'll talk about the T-Wolves game as well, but 2 players not named Luka that hit big shots. I think that's always nice, especially throughout a long season, to have other players contribute, and especially in those big moments. That's really good to hear. And correct me if I'm wrong here, and Robert, I'm going to pass it over to you, but is this the first game after kind of the KP? I know he was getting it bad from the media, or did that start a little bit earlier, or did he kind of respond to that a little bit, not only from an effort standpoint, but obviously a productivity standpoint?
No, this was definitely a turnaround for him as well as the team in general. So I think after that 147, 111 loss, whatever it was, I think that was when everybody kind of, obviously everybody's going to start looking around and start pointing fingers, especially from the outside looking in. So I think KP was probably the biggest scapegoat in that, especially in that the Warriors were just able to get so many easy shots, easy looks on the inside, easy buckets, especially being down all of their big men. You would think that he would be able to, impose his will and affect the game in a much better way, and he wasn't. So definitely a good response from the team overall. And Rick called this stretch very critical. We got off to a slow start, and then with COVID, so the players, effort reflected that off of a bad game, and then coming back and basically just needing one. And so they fought down the stretch. Looks like we had Luka, obviously 42, going back and forth with Seth 57, but we also had 5 other players scoring double digits. So it wasn't just Luka carrying the whole load. Yeah, definitely. And I think if we saw where the game flipped from the previous game, the Warriors had scored 57 points in the paint to only 36 in this game that we won. Nice. And ours went from 36 to 48. So there was a concerted effort to stop the easy buckets and get inside the paint ourselves.
So a couple takeaways, and then we can get I'll kick it back over to you, Robert, for the Timberwolves game. The Warriors are currently in 8th place in the West at 13-12. The Timberwolves are 15th, right? 15th at 6-19, and which is the worst record in the league. And the Hawks are in 8th place in the East at 11-13. So my takeaway from that is, first of all, you take any 3-game winning streak, but you hear about it a lot in the NBA. You have to beat the teams that you're better than. You're not going to be able to take it to the Lakers or the Jazz or the Clippers or the Celtics every time you play them. So I think it's good just from the standpoint of where they were at and where they were at coming into this 3-game stretch, where they just kind of handled business. And however you win, however you get a W, I think that's it's always a positive. So what are your thoughts on the Timberwolves game?
I think before I get to the Timberwolves, to your point, I mean, it shows that, the players are in tune with Rick's message and that this is a critical stretch because, with the T-Wolves and then the Hawks following that, those are games that you would overlook, maybe lack some effort. And possibly look past, but the effort was there, and so Rick's message seemed to resonate with the team. You saw the effort throughout. So even though T-Wolves and Hawks aren't the greatest, we're not throwing any wins back. Yeah, we'll take everyone we can get.
Well, they can't overlook them when they have worse records than when they play them. Yeah. So ideally, like if you're thinking the season was just starting, do you think they're better than those teams? But so far the season they hadn't been. So
yeah, that's right where we're at. Right now they're our peers. You know what I mean? So hopefully we can win enough games to where we're looking down in the standings at them. But as far as the T-Wolves game, I think that was probably my favorite game out of the 3. KP finally broke out of his passive stretch. He was very aggressive in the games, particularly on the defensive end, very active. He actually had 6 blocks. They took 1 away from him, so he ended up with 5. But he was just very active, energetic. And then even on the offensive end, some of the things that we had pointed out that he wasn't doing, he started to do. So he wasn't just wallowing on the outside, waiting for somebody to toss him the ball. He was actually cutting to the basket. If Luka was driving, he was kind of trailing him for those offensive rebounds and easy putbacks. Or when the defense collapses on Luka, obviously he's taking up that open space and available for the ball. Things like that, just being active. And, he avoided putting up those hollow numbers. I mean, Luka, I think since he's been back, has averaged, if you just went around it, he's a 20 and 10 guy, in his sleep. But the numbers are so hollow because they come from the outside, perimeter oriented. I think this was the first game where he put up just like numbers of substance. It really affected the game. The game was only close because the Mavs kind of went to sleep in the fourth quarter. Actually, it got pretty scary. It got pretty close, but they were able to pull it out. I'm not going to blame them for that. And then a big stat takeaway was 50 points in the paint in that game. So that was a big change from what we've been doing in the past.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I thought that was KP's best game. Because last year it seemed like a lot of the times, even when he didn't have it going on the offensive end, he would affect the game in defense with defense. And this is the first game where I remember him being like really good at defense, 6 blocks, 5 blocks. That's, I mean, if you average 3 a game, you're a leader in the league. Right. So, yeah, he got really close. Malik Beasley on the Wolves went crazy, and then found out he has to go to jail and after the season's over.
Oh yeah.
You hear about that, Trey?
No, what happened? What is that about?
He had like, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. So, but what I heard is he like tapped someone was on his property and he tapped like their car with a gun and was like, get off my property basically. And so
assault.
Yeah. So why does he get to go out? Why does he get to wait till after the season?
Because he's on like workers, they let him work and then he'll just go for season. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a thing for NBA players.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting.
But
all right.
Anyways, yeah, he went off, made it really close, got it scary. But I mean, they were able to stem the tide, and Josh Richardson hit a big game ceiling shot. And Karl-Anthony Towns for them came back the next game, so Mavs got kind of lucky timing. I think they would have been fine either way, but it's really good. Like that game got a little closer than it should, but they closed it out, which is good. The Hawks game, they came from behind and then they were up, and then they closed it out. And same with the Warriors game. That was just close all game, and then they were up by a little bit and they got really close, and they closed it out, which is good. And Luka's like LeBron in this way. He loves to pass, facilitate in clutch situations sometimes. I mean, he'll take the big shot, don't get it wrong, but he also doesn't mind making the right basketball play. But I think getting Brunson and Leba's and Richardson's confidence up definitely helps a lot.
Well, and how much does that help the team if the opponent has to guard that, right? If you're going, well, I know he's going to take the shot, then that's all you have to worry about. But when you have somebody that can penetrate or can draw the defenders and then kick it out to an open guy, then all of a sudden things get a lot more equal because, do you want Luka taking a shot with 2 defenders on him or somebody else taking a shot wide open? I mean, you could probably still argue that, right? But the better play is, so I think that frees him up. And I've always enjoyed seeing that. And LeBron early in his career, Robert, we used to talk about this, how good of a passer he was, and obviously he evolved into a really good scorer, but I always like seeing that. And obviously one of our favorite players ever is Jason Kidd. So Luka having the offense to go with that, but seeing somebody that's going to have that much attention on them, being able to distribute the ball, I think is really good. So you had kind of started talking about the Mavs win over Atlanta. That was on February 10th. Mavs 118, Atlanta 117. You want to talk about that, or if you have anything else you want to close out from the previous games, Jacob, go ahead.
Yeah, just one last thing on the previous game. Powell, who's been having a rough season, came in and gave a good spark off the bench, had 17 points, and just played really well.
Nice.
So that was the first game where I thought he really showed what he used to be.
Right.
And so it's nice to have 2 reliable big men, not reliable necessarily yet, but 2 decent big men options off the bench, Cauley-Stein and Powell. And then Cauley-Stein, they give like little defensive play of the game belt every game. So in the Hawks game, Cauley-Stein won that. He played really good defense, and in the last stretch, and Porzingis couldn't really play much in the game at all because he was in foul trouble. I think he played 19 minutes compared to compared to like Luka, who played 37. But Tim Hardaway Jr. had a really rough game until the fourth quarter, and he really sparked the run because they were down 10 points going into the fourth quarter, I think.
Yep.
He sparked the run with a 3 and then an one and then a 3. And that's one thing I've been noticing with Hardaway this season. It seemed like last season he'd get hot for like a game and a half or a game and then go cold for a game or two.
Yep.
This season it seems like he's cold for only half and then he'll be hot for like a game. So he's streaky, but he's a little less streaky, I guess.
Sure.
Which you can expect from someone who just comes in. And I think moving to the bench looks like a great move, and it was a great move because the starting lineup that they have now I really like with Hardaway and then Brunson, or with Hardaway coming off the bench and Brunson. Those are two good scorers. And Trey Burke hasn't really even done anything, so he doesn't even get minutes. Him and James Johnson, they're a very deep team,
right?
Which they didn't seem like that when they had all their COVID players missing. Luka had a really good game, 28, 10, and 10. I love when him and Trey play. They didn't play at all their sophomore years because either Luka missed a game or Trey Young missed a game.
Yep.
But yeah, I thought it was a really good team win, coming from behind and winning the game and closing it out in crunch time. I thought when they got the ball with like 5 seconds left, I would have bet all my money that the Hawks are going to make the shot just the way the season had been going.
Yeah.
Hardaway played really good defense, and Trey Young got to yell at the refs, which is kind of funny.
Nice. Robert, what are your thoughts?
I think, yesterday's game against the Hawks, one thing that carried over from the rest of the week is just other players contributing. So we talked about the Warriors game, 134-132. We had Luka scoring 42, but 5 others in double digits. Then we had similar amount in double digits with the Mavs T-Wolves, and same thing here with the Hawks. We had Brunson and Hardaway Jr. In the fourth quarter. We outscored Atlanta 137-27 in the fourth quarter. Brunson and Hardaway Jr. were responsible for 24 of those points. Brunson 13 and Hardaway Jr. 11. So they really kind of carried the load because I think it was, down to like 5 minutes left in the fourth, and Trey Young or Luka hadn't scored a field goal. So we really needed them to pick up the slack in that fourth quarter. If it wasn't for them, we might not have won that game. So just getting help from some of the other players on the team, and it's been somebody different every night. Like Jacob said, Powell came in and gave some energy. Willie Cauley-Stein quietly had a really good game against the Hawks. Everybody's talking about Brunson and Hardaway Jr. yesterday. So it's just been somebody different every game stepping up, and that's what we need. We need pitching from everybody. KP kind of had a down game, as Jacob mentioned. He was in foul trouble. But I think Atlanta just kind of reinforced. Hopefully it becomes a recurring theme, and that, some of our role players are stepping up and taking the load off Luka.
Yeah, and the bench is looking better now that they're playing like against bench or player playing bench minutes. Hardaway closed out a lot of games, but I was happy they were able to survive the John Collins scoring. He was like, at one point, I think it was like 9 for 10 and like 22 points, but he ended with 33. Trey Young had 25, Herder had 23. So I thought it was a good game where they were able to pull it out, even though they weren't able to stop their superstars really.
It's a game earlier in the season we would have lost, no doubt. And so, you can kind of take that as we're kind of, every season's different. We had some success last year, but I think, every team is different, and you're starting to see where, they're learning how to close out these games with one another.
And Capella only had 7 rebounds, which they won the first game, but the first game, I guarantee you, he had I'm almost certain he had like 15 or something like that. So being able to hold him off the glass a little bit is a good sign.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, very good. So my main takeaways from these are, and Jacob, you said this the first 2 episodes that we were doing this, with the Mavs starting lineup being so depleted from being held out from the coronavirus. You had bench players playing starters, and you have guys that probably shouldn't even be bench players getting significant minutes. So It's good to see that, it's kind of normalized a little bit. Those guys are back. Seems like they're getting a lot more healthy. And like you said, we're seeing bench players are actually playing against other bench players and doing a pretty good job. So any other closing, we'll kind of go quick hitter here, any other closing thoughts? And maybe my thing would be, just very quick, what would you each contribute to the 3-game winning streak if there was one factor?
I'm not sure. Just being good in crunch time, not letting, not overreacting to small runs by the other team. If they get up by 5 or go on a 7-0 run, or if Steph Curry or Trae Young hit 2 deep threes in a row, they didn't, or a call doesn't go their way, they didn't over complain and
good
let it get out of their let them get out of their rhythm.
Yeah. What do you think, Robert? Or go ahead, Jacob.
Composed.
I'm sorry.
No, I was saying they're a little more composed. Yeah.
I think for me, it's the role, the points in the paint and the role players stepping up. I think the points in the paint it just opens everything else up. And for a bad 3-point shooting team, if we can get some points in the paint and get everybody else some open looks, a little bit more space, hopefully we can start knocking down some more of those shots, which is really the goal.
Yeah. And I thought a lot of the worry when the players were out was valid, but I also thought that a lot of it was going to be solved somewhat when the players from COVID got back.
Right.
Because they really got COVID in like their toughest stretch. They played the Jazz twice. So a lot of those like worries were very valid, but it's also, you have to take it with a grain of salt, not having.
Well, and it's not like when they came back, they were going to be 100% or, the team was going to be working together 100% like they would be, after a couple of weeks. So maybe we're just starting to see that and see the team come together a little bit, which is good.
Yeah. My bet was almost right. I said they would go 3-0 and KP would score 30 one game.
Oh, you did say that.
He had 20. He had 27 in the Timberwolves game. He screwed me.
27, 13, 4 and 5. I think we can give that to you. Just put some money on it next time, and then it's real.
It'll count.
And then it counts. But no, that's a good. Hey, we can go back to the tape on that deal too, right?
Yeah, exactly. He put it on the podcast, so
I like it. Okay, well, awesome. Well, let's close this segment up, and we're going to move forward to talking a little bit more about KP. And we I think all had some pretty harsh comments on his play the previous stretch. So we'll kind of talk about what we've seen from him in these last 3 games, and have we changed our mind on how we feel about it? Okay, guys, we're gonna start talking. I just said okay, guys. Okay, guys. Okay, guys, we're going to talk about Kristap Porzingis in this segment, also known as a unicorn, also known as the Ken doll. He has the best hair that I've ever seen. But as I was saying at the end of the last segment, we were pretty down on him for a lot of reasons. Obviously, the expectations for him are very high. He's supposed to be the number 2 to Luka. And I think what I was seeing that was frustrating is, he wasn't being aggressive enough. And then maybe an effort, right? To me, aggression and effort are not exactly one and the same, but if you have it in you, then, it is an effort thing, I feel. So, Robert, we'll start with you. What are some of your thoughts, and what have you seen over these last 3 games that allowed him to have a lot more success than he did the previous games?
Yeah, I think he's getting comfortable. He's definitely more aggressive on both ends of the floor. So maybe that points to, he's getting his legs under him. He's getting in NBA game shape since he was, out for so long, working himself back in. But it's been mostly the aggression on, the defensive end. But what was more evident was just on the offensive end, because he's 7'3", and he just kind of sticks out on the offensive end because he's literally standing out there at the top of the key, by himself, and it just seems as if he was waiting for somebody to toss him the ball and hopefully get an open look. If not, then he's passing it off or trying to set another pick instead of rolling to the basket. he's rolling to try to get another open shot. So now it looks like he is rolling to the basket. He's got some open looks. They've posted him up a few times. He's been able to establish some good position down low, which maybe points back to him getting his legs under him. He can a little bit more strength to establish some better position down there. He's trailing Luka on some of his drives to like we talked about in the first segment, kind of take up that open space and be there for any passes or offensive putbacks. So it's really just the aggression, putting himself in position to be available to make a play is the biggest difference that I see.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely the aggression and just getting, I think partly comes with him just getting his legs back under him. And also, I'm not sure exactly when this happened, but not too long ago. But I don't know if you guys remember, but after the game, he was saying how he prefers to play in longer stretches. Actually, the last like 2 or 3 games, Luka's been going out when KP usually goes out about the 6-minute mark. Then KP's been playing almost the whole first quarter, which used to be flipped. I think that makes a difference. He said it gets him better in a better rhythm, better feel for the game. And when you're coming back from a major injury, that is a big thing, and it's a big thing just in general, especially for someone. Like, I feel like that's more important to him than it is to Luka. Like, Luka will be in rhythm no matter what because he's an all-time, or he will be an all-time great, or he is a superstar. And KP is still trying to prove he's a superstar. And then I thought his rebounding was better, at least in Golden State and Minnesota, they were also really small, so I'm not sure how much to make up for that. In Atlanta, he didn't really have a chance because he didn't play much, but that hustle and just being a little he would always seem one step slow in the losing streak, and now he seems like he's more on time. And then on the defensive end, he just is a little bit better too, which I think it would be important because if he's having a bad offense game to stay engaged, get on defense well. That's what I like about Josh Richardson is he's always in it defensively even if he's not scoring at all. Him and Finney Smith are always hustling and always on defense. So yeah, I thought KP was a lot better the last 3 games. Hopefully he can keep it up and getting even better. Because every time he gets extended games where he's healthy, he starts to play better and better. That's what he saw in the bubble last year. So.
Yeah, and at that size, you expect him to be able to impact the game, whether he's having a good day offensively or not. So that's really, really good to see. Robert, I'll leave it to you for the last word. Actually, I have a couple of other things that I'll throw in after, but we had talked just in the break that we had. You were talking about Steven Silas, and as the Mavs were on that 1-7 stretch, you kind of went and did some research as far as, what's missing, what's different, and kind of dug into it a little bit. So you want to talk a little bit about what your thought process was. And obviously, you win 3 in a row and it's like, well, the ship is righted for now. And we don't need to look at that. But I just thought it was really interesting, just some of the things that you were talking about or mentioning.
Right. Yeah. So after the 3-game win streak, it seems almost a little out of turn, but things aren't completely righted, and they're still, we still don't know if they're going to go on to be a playoff team and stuff. So there's still a lot of things that they can fix. So I think it's probably still a valid point to kind of look into. But, one of the big differences that you don't hear a lot of people talking about from this last year to this year is Steven Silas, which was an assistant coach that got the head coaching job over at Houston. And it's just, from the outside looking in, he carries himself so humbly. I wonder if maybe that move just flew under the radar because you didn't hear, at least I didn't hear a lot about it, didn't think much of it. I think the players that were already there in Houston, Harden and Westbrook kind of steal that spotlight. Yep. And so basically it comes down to like, okay, well, is he going to be able to manage those personalities? But when you look at, when I did the research and looked at his qualifications, I mean, he worked in Cleveland with LeBron. He worked in Golden State with Seth Curry in some of their championship years. And so he's been in basketball his whole adult life. And so he's definitely qualified. You see what he's doing in Houston. They, went on that big win streak, and they've kind of fallen back to earth a little bit, but the effort's there, and that's going to be the number one sign of a really good coach. And so I was just thinking back and seeing, he was also the architect of a lot of, some of the stuff we had in the playbook on the offensive side, which last year we were the number one rated offensive team efficiency wise ever, like in the history of the NBA ever. And defensively, we weren't great last year, but it seems as if we've taken a step back. And Carlisle has always had strong assistants. We know who Steven Silas is now. Going back to Terry Stotts and Dwayne Casey have had success in Portland and Toronto when they moved on. So that is one kind of thing that kind of keep an eye on. If we don't get the ship righted all the way, is to kind of maybe dig deeper into that and kind of watch him from a distance over in Houston and see what he's able to do there, because that could definitely be contributing to some of our inconsistencies and what we've experienced this year.
That's go ahead, Jacob. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say Steven Silas. Yeah, the Mavs have always, like Robert said, their assistants have always done well. And Steven Silas, along with his coaching history, his dad was a coach for forever.
Yeah.
So he's always in basketball. Even when he was a kid, I'm sure he went to more games than just an average.
Right.
It's just a regular person who has a non-basketball parent. But yeah, Terry Stotts. There's no really team I feel like that's had assistants going to be such great head coaches in the last 15 years, like the Mavericks. Those three have all been, I'm sure, they've all led really good playoff teams. I can't no Popovich assistants or any other teams I can think of had Spoelstra or anything like that.
Right.
So
like
it's
that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Robert, I like that after the 1-7 stretch that you went to the lab and you went to go try and figure out what was wrong with the team. Some dark times for you. I bet
you got to dig deep, man. I had black coffee and I had to stay after work for freaking shoot arounds, and
you're like, man, Rick and Mark need me, man. I'm gonna figure out what's wrong, and I'm gonna let them know,
man.
I like that.
I'll sing the freaking anthem. Screw it.
I think we go. Whenever the teams lose and we get upset, I know it is medicating for me to go and dig deep and try and find out, what it is. I don't know. It just kind of helps deal with the loss. So just real quick to close up this segment, I want to throw out a couple quick stats from the last 5 games that I think are big drivers, as you guys were talking about, to what they've done. So they've won the last 4 out of their 5 games. Hardaway, since moving to the bench, has averaged almost 19 points per game. He's second among all bench players. Shout out to 6th man of the year if he can keep it up. And then KP has averaged in that same stretch, has averaged almost 23, 10, and 2 blocks a game, shooting 50% from field goal and 16 for 17 from the line. So that's obviously very solid. So we'll wrap that segment up, and we're gonna do a little bit of looking ahead of what the Mavs have in the next week or so. All right, guys, we're gonna take a look ahead into the Mavs schedule for the next week. They have the Pelicans, the Blazers, and then the Pistons. And this is going to close out a 7-game stretch at home. And hopefully we can close it out with a couple W's, if not 3. So, Jacob, what are your thoughts on this upcoming stretch?
Yeah, well, if they get 3 W's, they'll be 15-14, which is the first time they've been having a winning record in a while. I don't know. Are you gonna predict that they go 3-0 again? You want to push that to 6? No, I already gave enough money to the viewers. So
gotcha. Okay.
I think they'll definitely win 2 of the 3. I think the Portland New Orleans game, one of those 2 scares me a bit, but they both scare me a bit. But I think they'll win 1 of the 2 for sure. I'm pretty confident in that. But the thing is, with those 2 games, they're very important, seeding wise. Portland's 5th right now at 13-10. So the Mavs are 2.5 games behind them, and the Pelicans they're actually tied with the Mavs. They're 11-13. The Mavs are 12-14. So winning those 2 games, are really important as far as seeding goes, and just keeping up the winning ways. And then Detroit is Detroit plays well against really good teams, but they're not a good team. But like they took the Lakers to double overtime a few nights ago. So you can't fall into a trap where you go down to their level. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. Zion versus Luka. Brandon Ingram's a really lethal scorer. They have a weird team in New Orleans, but like there's rumors they're going to trade Lonzo and JJ Redick. They have like really young players and they have really like veterans like Steven Adams, JJ Redick. That's a weird form team, and then Stan Van Gundy being the coach just makes it even more weird. It's just a very oddly formed team. I'm not comfortable with like any of them shooting threes really, but now I say they'll probably go like 80% when they play the Mavs. But,
right.
And then Portland, I'm pretty sure CJ McCollum will still be out, which is their second best player and second leading scorer. He's been out for a while now, but Lillard came back after missing a couple games last night and the night before. So I'd expect them to guard Lillard like they do Curry or like they did Trey Young. And they didn't really do with Curry, but it'd be I shouldn't say I expect, but it'll be interesting if they guard him more like Curry or guard him more like Trey Young. Because with Trey Young, they more doubled him and made him pass. With Curry, they doubled a little bit, but it was more of a one-on-one more than anything. But the Pelicans game will be a good test of their rebounding and tenacity on the boards because they have really good rebounding with Steven Adams and Zion, and I think it should be a good test. And I'm excited to watch those two first games, especially. And the Pistons, they just need to win that game.
Yeah, and that kicks off tomorrow on Friday, on February 12th. Yeah. Okay, Robert, what do you think? Or go ahead, Jacob. I'm sorry. Did you have one more?
I was just gonna say all those games are like I think the first two games are both like ESPN or TNT games.
Nice.
Yeah.
We'll get to hear Barkley talk crap about us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Jacob hit the nail on the head with the Pelicans game, it being a good test inside, the physicality that Adams and Zion bring, and even Ingram with his length and athleticism, both on the inside and the outside. And Lonzo is like, a 6'6" point guard, so they're a big team. I think it's really kind of like a bad matchup for us, honestly. I think we're going to have to probably we're going to need KP to do what he did against the T-Wolves, just be extremely aggressive, and we're probably going to have to shoot the lights out against the Pelicans and the Blazers, I would say. With McCollum being out, I think we match up better with Portland. As long as we can keep Lillard from going off, we'll definitely have a better chance there. Make sure that Enes Kanter doesn't, go crazy on the boards, and we'll have a chance there. And then, like you said, the Pistons, we just got to beat them, right? We talked about just handling your business and beating the teams that you're supposed to beat. So I think, if we can go 2-3 in this stretch, I'll be happy with it, man. I'm sorry. Win 2 out of 3. Yeah.
Win 2 out of 3. So that would put us at 5-1, 5-1 in the last 6.
Man,
Solid
going into that stretch, you would take that all day. You know what I mean?
Yep. Going from a 1-7 to a 5-1.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jacob.
I think like what needs to happen is 2-1 over exceeding. Or I'll be very, very happy if they are 3-0, but I'll be pretty disappointed if they're 1-2. Fine. It's a pretty fine line. So I think 2-1 minimum. Be one game under 500 with like 10 games left before the All-Star break, with 12 games.
And just to keep the momentum going too, right?
Yeah.
Keep morale high, momentum going. Make sure everybody stays aggressive.
Well, and two of those games are against teams that they'll be essentially fighting against, like playoff berth.
Right.
Yeah. You don't want to be. Right now they just want to be in the playoffs, but you don't want to be if you're on the border between 7th and 6th because they're doing a playing game this year. You don't want to be the 7th seed to have to win a game or two to get in the playoffs instead of being 6th seed and being confirmed in.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Good stuff, guys. So we'll go ahead and wrap this segment up, and we're going to get into just a little bit of news around the NBA. What's going on? What's the latest with some of the key teams that we've been following? All right, guys. Last segment of the show for this week. We're going to take a little trip around the NBA. Robert, I'll kick it to you first, and a couple of the topics. LeBron, your favorite player, CP3, and looks like we got a little bit of Tobias Harris and Seth Curry. So, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I guess anything that sticks out for me so far, LeBron still on his MVP pace. He's averaging 25 and a half, 7 rebounds, almost 8 rebounds and 8 assists, at 36 years old. So,
Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy, man, at that age. And, I went back and watched you guys. I think I texted you your Tiger reaction to part 2 and to part 1. And I think it's just crazy when you look back over LeBron's career, how he was anointed at a very young age, just like Tiger, and how hard it is to actually live up to those expectations. We talk about expectations and how much pressure it is, and a lot of people fold under those expectations. A lot of people can only perform actually when they have no expectations. Well, LeBron has come along with all of that, and so how he's been able to handle that, it's off topic, but to see what he's doing at this age and been able to handle the success the way he's been able to handle it is rare.
I think it's relevant though for anybody that's that important to their sport, right? Whether it's Tiger for golf or I was going to say Brady for the NFL, but he didn't have expectations like that. And you see, especially in the NFL, quarterbacks that get drafted, first pick or very high first round, how rare it is for somebody to live up to their expectations. And obviously for any sport. So I think I think it's valid because it's a conversation right now, and he's still very relevant, obviously, in the NBA, and he's still playing at a very high level.
Yeah, for sure.
He's playing at a high level, and I think after like the shortest turnaround for him in the Lakers,
true.
I thought AD would be more the one that would play every game. LeBron would be the one taking games off, or they would both take a few games off here and there. But LeBron's third in minutes in the whole NBA at year 18 or whatever it is now, age 36.
An Iron Man.
Yeah, and then the last 3 games, double overtime, and overtime, all wins. But I think all of them without AD too. So it's just crazy how he's doing. He's ideally they can get him some rest. If you're a Lakers fan, hopefully they can get him some, and just a fan of the NBA.
Well,
he's healthy, so he's healthy and like full 100%.
We'll see how long he can keep it up.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think I was listening. I was just thinking like, I was listening to Undisputed this morning while I was at work, just for a few minutes, and they were talking about how like MJ would. I wasn't alive when MJ played really, but MJ would always put on a show. And try like super hard when even if it was against OKC or some like terrible team because he's the face of the league. Kobe did it, and now it's kind of like LeBron. That I think he feels. I don't know if he feels obligated to, but it's definitely nice for like fans to see LeBron play because I mean, you don't know what you have until he's gone. Like he only has a couple of 3 more years left, maybe, or who knows. But so I'm happy he's playing.
Who's those? Yeah, those really good points. Who's the next one? Or I don't think we have one yet. Or do we?
Next, like superstar?
The
like
next
face of the league?
Yeah. I mean, you could go down a list for the face of the league, I think, but somebody, because it was like MJ.
Like iconic.
Yeah. And then Kobe, I would say the hype was around Kobe and then LeBron. So
I would say like face of the league would be best player in the league for the next 10 years would be Luka, unless someone like little 12-year-old comes in 7 years later. But
yeah,
but like as far as pressure, as much as I don't even think Kobe had that amount of pressure as LeBron and like Tiger did and people like that. So the next like just iconic figure like that.
Yeah.
Like Kobe wasn't the first overall pick. I think he was like third.
I think they traded.
He turned iconic by just being insane. And Shaq him and Shaq are my favorite duo. Like if I had to pick a 2-on-2 duo, I'd pick them.
That was fun watching them. Big Shot Rob.
Yeah, it was fun when I was 2 years old watching them. But
you're like in your crib, like trying to stand up to watch the finals.
Yeah,
Okay, good stuff. Junior, I think you had mentioned CP3 a little bit as well.
Yeah, just the other thing that stuck out to me, just reviewing the league, was the Suns. They're for the most part a young team, and in the offseason they brought over Chris Paul, and everybody felt like that was going to be a good fit for them because of the youth that was over there. So he was going to provide some leadership, some ball handling, so that Devin Booker could slide into the number 2 position and stop having to handle the ball so much. And he was going to provide leadership and stuff like that. And, the same effect that he had on Oklahoma City, which was like a surprise team last year, into the playoffs and stuff, is doing the same thing at Phoenix. They currently sit at 4th in the West. They're 15-9, 7 out of 3 of their last 10, currently on a 4-game winning streak. So the way they're doing that so far, Devin Booker's leading the team in scoring 24 points per game. Ayton, of course, is leading in rebounding, but he's 4th overall in the league. They're doing it with defense, actually. They're 4th overall in points allowed, and 5th in opponent's field goal percentage. So I think it just helped to have that veteran, which is exactly kind of what we needed and what we were calling for. Chris Paul has taken that to Phoenix, and they're rolling right now, man.
Yeah,
Ahead of schedule, just as we were ahead of schedule last year.
Yeah,
right now they're ahead of schedule.
Yeah, the last couple of years, like Chris Paul's, like, I don't know what the word is, calling card has been just making teams that it's kind of like Brady in football, not quite to that extent because they won't win the championship, but like he went from a 7-9, or the Buccaneers were 7-9 and they were turning the ball over a bunch and weren't winning close games, and Brady fixed that just by not turning it over and being very smart with it and just being Brady. I mean, I think so. Chris Paul last year in OKC, they were like one of the most clutch teams in the NBA. The Mavs experienced that several times because the Mavs were one of the worst clutch teams and they were one of the best. And then the Suns this year, they're winning close games. The Mavs experienced it earlier, like a week or two ago. When the Suns played the Bucks last night, they won a very close game. I think Chris Paul just brings calmness to his team when it's crunch time and makes their team a better clutch team, which makes it kind of crazy how like he hasn't really been out of the second round except like once, I think, when they lost when they lost to Golden State when he got injured. Like with those Clippers teams, he never got out of the second round. Crazy. They blew a 3-1 lead actually.
So I say but I know Robert, again, we've talked about this and I mentioned this earlier in the show. We're just, I have such a high appreciation for a true point guard. And I think CP3 probably scores a little bit more than I would, say an old school true point guard. But I really enjoy it. And what you guys were saying obviously makes a lot of sense. You bring that presence and a veteran presence and somebody that can facilitate and calm. I think that was a really good word, a calming effect on the team, especially down the stretch and in crunch time. I think that goes a long way. Who are the other, we would say Rondo. I know everybody in Dallas has such a bad taste in their mouth from Rondo, and I'm one of them. But when he's playing, and we saw him contribute quite a bit last year with the Lakers and in their playoff run, is it, LaMelo kind of looks like he's one, or, what do you guys think? Who are the other, what you would consider maybe more of a pure point guard in the league right now?
I think you're on the ball there with LaMelo.
On the ball?
I like his game on the ball. Yeah, no pun intended. That was an accident too.
Pun.
But yeah, LaMelo, I really like his game, man. He seems natural. He's a great passer. He can really see the court. A good size. So I think it's going to translate into him growing as a really good perimeter defender as well. So I like LaMelo for that. Also, Van Fleet in Toronto. I really feel like he's, like you said, he's probably. I mean, that's just the way point guards are now. They're expected to score as well as facilitate. So as true of a point guard as you can get in the league, I think Van Fleet falls under that. Aside from the fact that he's he's just a great leader, and he also sets a tone on the defensive side of the court as well. So if we're looking at somebody that's going to have that Jason Kidd, Chris Paul type of effect, I mean, it's no wonder that Toronto has been able to lose Kawhi and still maintain all of that success. It's, I mean, they got a great coach over there, but it's Van Fleet is driving that boat too. So I'd say him as well.
I think when I think of Toronto, I think more of their point guard is like, I think more of like Lowry, just settles it down. But the thing is, like the NBA now, and I agree with Van Fleet, they're both kind of point guards, but they also can both play shooting guards. Kind of a weird thing, but with point guards now, like there's almost no like pass only point guards.
Right.
You think the best passes in the league, LeBron, Luka. If you want to put LaMelo there, like he's definitely like up and coming, and he might be. Trey Young, like those are just the assist leaders. They all can score at elite level, and there's scoring point guards only. I mean, like there's like scoring, even like Lillard and Curry both assist well, but there's no. When I think of like assist only point guards, I think of like old Rondo or like Ricky Rubio or someone like that. Like on a bad level, but.
It's a dying breed. And maybe the last, I know I keep on saying Kidd, but Kidd during the Mavericks championship run, and somehow when he came back here, he was like lethal from 3-point range, and he could never, but he was still a terrible like jump shooter. Yeah. Like he couldn't hit like a 12-footer.
Yeah. He wasn't
18-footer.
He wasn't your first scoring option,
but he could hit threes.
Yeah. And he was terrible at threes for most of his career, which is
weird.
But came back. His situational defense in that whole stretch too, man. I mean,
he guarded LeBron.
He guarded LeBron at times. He guarded Wade, and then going back, he guarded Kobe. He was taking the ball from Westbrook and Durant. I mean, it was beautiful to see.
I guess the current point guard that's kind of old fashioned, like Oscar Robertson type maybe or something, is Ben Simmons. He can't really shoot. I mean, all of his scoring comes from like fast break, or in the paint points.
You almost need somebody that can't shoot, because if they can shoot, then they're going to. But the NBA is such a offensive league now, and they were talking about that a little bit this past week, just in the national media. About I think Kevin Garnett was talking about that, how everything's changed. And I think it's exciting. I mean, obviously, I enjoy the slower, low post, beat them up, old school days, but it's just not what it is now. And but the players nowadays can do things that I don't think a lot of the players back then could do. So
I think if you ask the Sixers if they could have a Ben Simmons 35% 3-point shooter, they would give you millions of dollars for that.
Right.
That's like the one thing holding them back a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's such a good defender and passer that makes up for it.
You can't have it all. Right. Yeah. So let's go quick hitter. I know we kind of got caught on those two subjects, but I thought it was really interesting to talk through that. And I thought that was just real good conversation. So Robert, you want to go quick hitter through the rest of the notes that you had around the league?
Yeah. So only other thing that sticks out, at least right now. Oh man, Ben Simmons is at 16% 3-point percentage. Just so you guys know.
Good call, Jacob.
He might as well not shoot. Like, he needs to start. He needs to develop it. Like Giannis can't shoot. He's shooting like 27%, but he's starting to develop something. Maybe we'll see.
But so staying on the Sixers, they're hanging on to that number one spot. I think if you don't go LeBron, and there's some other people, but Embiid wouldn't be a bad choice for MVP, or is definitely in the discussion. He's averaging almost 30 points a game, 11 rebounds a game. And I think if you look at one difference between for the Sixers from last year to this year is they have a little bit, better overall 3-point shooting. Tobias Harris currently has a career high from behind the arc at 43.8%. And then Seth Curry right now is shooting 50% from the field, 50% from three, and 100% from the line. So they're balanced. They're 8th in offense and 8th in points allowed. So I think some of that shooting and offense that Seth and the better shooting in Harris is kind of give them exactly what they need to be able to win the games that they put them in first place. So they are doing their thing. They're doing good things over there.
It's crazy how many MVP candidates, like legit ones, there still are right now. Like you could come up the list of like 7 to 10 that are still legit.
Right.
I think top 3 is like LeBron's one, and then Jokic and Embiid are 2 and 3. You can, I mean, any of those 3 can be flipped, and I don't think anyone would have an issue with it. But obviously, with the Lakers and the Sixers being top seeds, they'd probably get the edge. But then you think like Luka's still alive, and Giannis is still alive. You know, they won't give it to him for a 3rd time.
Yeah.
KD, Curry, Dame. There's a lot of players that could get it eventually. I think the biggest thing that I saw, or a big trend that I saw, was the team that's similar to the Mavs as far as like they lost a lot of players in COVID was the Heat. And they've won, now they actually just beat the Rockets tonight. They won 4 in a row. So they're kind of on a winning streak. But I mean, it was against Washington, New York, twice, and Houston. But I mean, a winning streak's a winning streak when you're a bad team. So
right.
You're a depleted team that has a bad record. So I think them and the Mavs are kind of on the same path. They're starting to get back into playoff seeding. Hopefully for the Mavs, I don't really care if the Heat get back up top, but I hope for the Mavs they can get back to top 4 seed. Yeah, I thought the Mavs and the Heat, just as how they finished the season last year, so strong. It was odd to see them struggle in the beginning, but a big part of it, I'm sure, was because of COVID.
Yep.
It's good to see both teams healthy now and playing better.
Yep, for sure. All right. Well, awesome, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. And thank you guys for listening. Thank you again to Robert and Jacob. This is our 3rd show. That's exciting. Did you ever think be 3 shows in? I like it. I like the double. I like to do that.
Mello.
What is it?
Mello. I think Mello and LaMelo do it.
Gotcha.
Someone's gonna have to get branding rights. But
there you go. The ball branding, big baller brand. So just thank you guys again. And just, you know, for the audience, these guys put a lot of time and effort into not only the show prep, but obviously it's something that they enjoy doing, you know, watching the NBA and following the NBA as we all do. So just shout out to those guys. We're going to get to 5 episodes, and then we're going to take a look back and see what we can do if we need to, you know, modify any of the structures or change things up or whatever it is. But I know it's been exciting for me, and I'm looking forward to doing these once a week. So we'll keep them going. So thank you guys. Thank you everybody for watching. Please like if you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe. Check us out on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. These guys are as well. Drop us a note, say hi, drop us a comment on the video. It all helps the channel quite a bit. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.